Hey everybody, welcome back. And today we're going to be going ahead and reconditioning SCHNEIDER, or for those that don't know, my SLK55 AMG seats. Now, this car is 15 years old and has about 112, well now 113,000 miles. So the seats have seen a bit of action throughout its lifespan. I ran into this this company called Seat Doctors, and they get you close to factory specific coloring of your seats. So now we're going to go through the process of restoring that leather, at least getting some life back, and professionally dyeing that actual leather itself. There's plenty of experienced detailers here in my area, but I wanted to give it a shot and see what I can do from learning from one specific detailer, from Precision One. Link of his Instagram is down below. You guys got to see what he does. It's very good content and very informative. It's a person to learn from, and if you're in the area, to get his request his services. Now, without beating around the bush, let's go ahead and continue on what I plan to do. So obviously I have my distilled water. Obviously you don't want to use any tap water or anything, any water with minerals or minerals in general added to the water, because it could react a little differently from the chemical cleaners that you're going to be using. Let alone, you don't want any of that type of a dull water, especially if you have poor tap water sources. You don't want that on your seats. So distilled water is a must. Then over here, I purchased these pretty much from on Amazon, and I got these, and everything is going to be linked in the description below. So if you guys like anything you see here, and if you want to use it, so if you could attempt to do what I'm doing, you'll find everything below. But yeah, I got these amber bottles. This is pretty much to protect the chemicals so they don't react under light or different circumstances. These are pretty good amber coated bottles to go with, and they come with their own stickers so you can mark them. As you can see, I have this one's leather cleaner, 3-to-1 ratio, and of course Panzer. Yep, got to mark everything that way, I guess. And we got leather conditioner, 3-to-1 ratio, and obviously Panzer again. And it comes with its own little fill tube, and then obviously top caps, so you can store these if you need to clean them, or if you just want to store these for the time being and just put these away. It comes with this as well. Now, I went with Lexol mainly because my detailer himself recommended it, and I'm going to go based on what he recommends. He has way more experience than I do, and I know maybe subpar upkeep for interior trim, leather trim, and all the extremities that are inside a vehicle for the most part. But I went with Lexol leather deep conditioner, and of course the cleaner. Now this is obviously step 1 and step 2 right here. Now, what I mean by a 3-to-1 ratio, it's 3 parts water, 1 part additive of your choice. And obviously my choice is Lexol. Now, we're here looking at the driver's seat. And this is the bolster wear that I'm referring to. As you can see, the wear itself, this is from coming and going in and out of the seat. And of course, you know, some of this is from previous owners. And part of it is due to me because I do carry, and sometimes my gun does rub against it, which I don't carry on my back or side anymore whenever I enter this car. As you can see, it's already starting to crack and separate here. And that leather dye and crack filler is what's going to make this look brand new. And I'm excited to give that a try. Because sometimes, and I know a lot of you have this same problem on your Mercedes or any other vehicle with a leather interior. You guys have that issue. As you can see, the passenger side is actually not that bad. There is some scuffing and some scratching here on the center. You can see some of this is pretty dirty here. And if you look over here, you can see some scratching in the leather itself. The actual coloring original dye is already starting to crack, or actually scraped off. Now on the Alcantara here, you can see it is not that bad. It could use a little bit of a brush, a little bit of cleaning. You can see all the dirt build up, residue over the years. So you get all these, on the air scarf, you can see pretty much all the dirt there. So this seat can use some good love right now. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Well, I'm going to attempt to do. And that's why I ordered that Seat Doctor leather dye, because this is what I'm going to be repairing after I recondition the seats, or give them a little cushion back, or life in general. But yeah. So our first step of the process is distilled water. And pretty much we're going to hydrate this leather. And pretty much just like I said, little spray, nothing too heavy. Give it a nice little, let me adjust the nozzle real quick on this. There you go. And we're just going to let the seat. Now, this is going to take about 30 minutes to allow it to absorb properly. And I'm just going based on what I learned. It just depends really on the temperature of the room. Obviously, I'm indoors. It's 70 degrees in here. It's colder outside, but it's nice and cool. The water is also a little cooler than room temperature, so this leather is probably enjoying this nice, cold, brisk water, distilled water on it. Because this car, after I bought it, I didn't really do much to it. So it sat. I was just getting some mechanical updates. Nothing cosmetic. Same for the bottom of the seat over here. Looks like we missed a spot. A little bit of a spray. Nothing too heavy. And you can actually see that scuffing now with the water on there. And I guarantee you there's like a good amount of oxidation on this leather, and old chemical cleaner or old items that previous owners have used that are just baked. So I guarantee you with this water it's gonna react to that as well. So I'm gonna let this actually sit for a good 5 minutes, and then I'm just gonna give it a nice wipe and then respray. And the reason why I want to do that is I want to see if there's any residue that is already coming off this seat. Now, within that first 5 minutes, I went ahead and wiped this seat down. And you can see from this cloth itself, and granted, this is from the center, not from this black side. It's from the center. You can see how dirty it is, and this is a clean cloth, and there's the cleaner side of it. More yellow. This one has like a dirty yellowish to it. There's some residue. There's some there on the side. But it just gives you an idea, even though the seats look relatively good, there's that layer still. Alright, so we're already about 25 minutes in, and I applied another spray of distilled, and I can tell you one thing, this leather is thirsty. It actually feels a lot more better, more supple. Before it felt really dry and stiff, but it's actually like it's pretty much coming back to life, which I'm pretty happy, because maybe that's all this leather need was a little bit of distilled water. So the next thing, what I'm going to be doing now is applying my cleaner. And we're going to be going to that 3-to-1 ratio. And I'm going to show you pretty much how I do that. It's nothing fancy about it. It's just diluting it to an extent. And one thing I got to stress to you guys is when you do try a cleaner now, I've learned this from Alex.
from Precision 1. Not all dyes and not all leathers are the same, so a lot of them react differently. Even though you use Lexol or use a certain a leather cleaner for your current car, and then you get another one and use it on the next car, it can still react differently because not all manufacturers use the same type of dye, type of leather, or combinations of formulas and pretty much all those variables. So you always want to test in a conspicuous area and get a good idea of how the seat's going to react to it. And I already did that, and this seat reacted relatively good. Pretty much it actually cleaned the spot on it, and I actually did it on this side. That's why this side looks a little bit more cleaner right here than on this side, because this side's already worn down. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pre-dilute my solution, and then we'll continue. All right, so I got my 3-to-1 leather cleaner, and the way I'm gonna tackle this, at least, is a section at a time. And I'm gonna start with this whole bottom section right here. And what I'm first gonna do is a nice generous layer of distilled again, and then a nice thin layer here of this. Now for the sections that have gathered up over here, I'm just gonna a little dab just to get the little excess so it's not so concentrated on one spot. A little bit of a dab. I'm just gonna let it sit for a few minutes. I'll be right back. Now we're just going to go over a little scrub, section at a time. Now, what I've learned is it's best not to go too deep or too rough, not apply pressure, just let it glide. Notice my fingers are barely holding onto this, just enough so the bristles can just exfoliate that outer layer. Treat it like your skin. Obviously, if you had this brush against your face, you're not going to dig deep into your face, because I'm pretty sure that would be very uncomfortable. So pretty much think of it like that. If you want to get a better idea, you can literally stick this brush on your face and try to get a feel. So you can be one with the seat. We're going to go ahead and just spray just a little bit more. Get into here. Hell yeah, I feel like Alex from Precision 1. I'm a pro. Look at me, Mom. I'm a pro. Your son made it. He's with the experts now. It's a joke. I am still learning. Now, one thing I gotta say is I do admire people like Alex for the work that they do. They're like the doctors of society, but for cars. Well, maybe not the doctors. Let's say cosmetologists, I guess. No, yeah, cosmetologists. There you go. Keep the cars looking pretty and pristine, cleaned, and no blemishes. All right. Good wipe. Well, I'll be damned. Look how bright that looks. Now, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I can definitely see it from here. See how whiter that looks compared to that. A little bit of a yellow oxidation there. Now you're going to go ahead and just repeat the process up top. Now what I do is obviously you spray your 3-to-1 of leather cleaner, nice generous spray, and just go to scrubbing. If it looks like some areas are getting a little dry, it's best just to go over it with just distilled water. Quick little spray helps. Brings back the suds. I'm just going to go over the whole go ahead and just pretty much the same process, just a good wipe. Wipe everything off. Damn, look at that. I believe that is marker. Another doo-doo moment. Look at that. That looks really good. A lot more softer too. And mainly is what helps the most is that distilled. Letting it sit and absorb is what gave it its rigidity back. Rehydrated skin, so to speak. The AMG badge. And again, these seats weren't really that dirty anyway. Well, kinda. They did have some residue that I was able to take off. Scrubbing really helped a lot. A little bit of a fluff.
Now, I already got my stuff from Seat Doctors. And just to give you a good lay down what he sent me Mercedes 4-ounce in black. Now, I have these two because he was a bit unsure on my VIN wise. The colors looks like a quartz, but on the actual vehicle itself, like the seats, if you look at the seats, they look like an ash gray. I mean, like from the pictures, it looks like a quartz. But on the VIN, it shows ash gray. So I have both of them right here. And judging by the two, I could say it's ash gray, but the quartz kind of looks also too as well when it's dried up. And this is what's making me think a little bit. But luckily, Andy sent me both, the ash gray and the quartz. So in the meantime, I'll be figuring that out later. I also have the leather crack filler. Now this is mainly used for very deep cracks, very small minor ones, like let's say for example those right there. These are really not as deep. They're just standard little stretch cracks. There's not much of a, it's still kind of smooth. It's not really like a very deep groove. Same for this as well. This is not as bad. But on some of them here, like this one, for example, that is a deep one. That's pretty much a tear. So what I'm going to have to do is use that for that crack filler right over there in the center. Literally, that's where my butt sits. So crack filler. But yeah, I got those two. And he also sent me this tool, which is pretty good, pretty good tool just to kind of press that filler into the grooves, the cracks in the leather, in the rawhide. Now these I bought at a local store here. They were pretty much 60 cents. All it is a foam wedged brush. Now, if you look on these the descriptions down here, there's three methods of actually putting this application on. You can rub it on, paint it on, which with the brush, the sponge, or spray it on. Now, I don't have a sprayer or any of those nice airbrush systems. I would like to. That probably would be the best. I think that would be the best method. But the rub-on method and the paint sponge method works just as well. Now, you don't paint it like that because you'll create streaks. So pretty much you're gonna just a thin layer. You soak up the brush, just a thin layer and a dab, and that puts pressure onto the actual dye itself and pushes it into the leather, especially on marks and creases like the one right here on the bolster. And we're going to start with this filler, and this stuff's pretty damn thick. And like I mentioned before, I'm a little ill, or I have allergies, so it will be annoying, but just bear with me, you guys. I'm going to start with that amount. Apply it like that. And I'm just going to keep wedging it in there to fill it. Nice massage, back and forth. Wow, that actually fills it in pretty good. Now you can still see the line, obviously, but you can see that it's actually filling in that groove. Big difference. You can see the difference from the two already. Check that out. All right, let me just go ahead and keep on doing this. Now I can scrape the excess off and try to get a little bit more. Okay, so that crack filler does exactly that. Remember that tear? Look at that. It is pretty much gone. If I can get a better view of that, that'd be nice. Remember that big tear that I had? Yeah, look at that, it's pretty much gone. Now I'm not trying to disturb it yet because I just barely applied it. But you can see it filled in that pretty good. Now you can still see it barely, but that's just enough so the dye can sit in there, which is going to be awesome because that tear is going to be pretty much gone once that dye gets on there. And I'm pretty happy with that. Now, you don't really need to, you only do it if you actually have actual cut tears. If you have stuff like this where it looks like you rubbed up against something and they look like little micro tears, that's just the outer layer of the leather coloring, of the original dye. Don't worry about that. That crack filler is perfect for those actual cuts. Think of it like the layers of skin. You got two layers, right? I think it was epidermis and something dermis. You can tell I didn't really pay attention in biology class, but I know there's two layers of skin, and the outer layer is not really a cause of concern. When it ruptures two of those layers, then stuff can happen. You can get infected. You can get an infection. It's the same concept. Moisture, moisture, and other stuff can enter the leather itself when it's cut. Now that was a direct cut. It was already splitting for the most part. And that's when you want to use the actual filler. And this stuff's really good. You don't really need to put too much either. A little bit. And you're in town, baby. That's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and let that sit for a little while. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and give it a light sanding. And I got some pretty intense lights. I'm not going to blind you guys, but these produce a good amount of heat, so I don't think I need a dryer. This would be good enough.
Right, so I'm pretty much 2 coats in on this bolster, and you can see most of the wrinkles have disappeared or blended in with the seat, and the scuffs are completely gone. And I went ahead and went over this side as well, and some of those wrinkles are actually gone in that fade spot that was down there. Done. But I only did 1 coat on this side all the way up top, and then I did about, this was already my 3rd coat in. Very light coats. I'm gonna go a little bit more heavier this time to fill in those little creases. And after this 3rd coat, those remaining creases that are on this seat, they've actually got smaller and thinner and shorter in length. So I know it's filling in, but I'm gonna wait until these 20 minutes pass, and I'm gonna do another coat a little heavier on those creases alone, and then blend it in, and getting some of that excess out of there. But overall, it's looking pretty good. Obviously, I'm missing stitching. That's mainly for me getting 9 and out. Can't really do anything about that. But as far as for the leather itself, it looks relatively good. Than it did before, so I'm pretty happy. It looks damn good for a 15-year-old seat. I am not gonna perfect it anymore, mainly because I'm kind of tired and annoyed. Not because of this, just, you know, it's kind of hard to make a video and kids and a bunch of other things, so I can't really give my 100% all the time. I would love to, but that's life for you. Overall, I think this is a good buy. You got to keep in mind these die pieces. Each one is $27 for a 4-ounce. And you buy the filler, that's another $9. Worth it, especially if you have huge cracks. Must get it. He does provide a tool for it, and this thing is badass. I could probably use it for other uses too. Alright, so I'm basically just going to be straightforward. This is a pain in the ass for 2 reasons. It's time consuming, and you have to take your time. And sometimes I don't like to take my time, but I think I did a good job. The whole seat in general, this one right here is the driver. Check out the bolsters. They look pretty good. Better than what they did before.